What is up, my friends? Happy Tuesday. I hope you all are doing well. I just love you all. We have another team. Okay, it's kind of confusing because so I'm trying to break this down. We have another team challenge 2.0. Make sure if you want to do this, this is the one we did in January where, do you remember you got on a group of, maybe you weren't in on it, and this is your time to sign up for it. It's really simple. You just comment below on this post and just type I'm in. For the month of May, you get assigned to a team of 5 or 6, and then the team captain puts you in a message thread. You all come up with a name, and you earn points each throughout the month. And I do weekly prizes with, actually, that's different. It's not always the team that's in the lead for the first few weeks. It's just for like biggest comeback, or I don't know. Anyway, you just earn points for your team. And so I think it's just awesome because I don't know about you, but it's like you don't want to be the person that like doesn't show up for your team. And so it just makes everybody else show up, and it's not just about business, it's about lifestyle. And I'll have, my crazy bonus points that I just think of when I'm in the shower, if I'm showering that day, where it's like, ooh, I'm going to do a bonus point for this. And so I just feel like there's a lot of different ways you can earn points. And it's just about collaboration, building friendship, and you being consistent on your journey. And also, I think just gaining confidence. And so it'd be really, really fun to have you a part of that. I would love that so much. We have a team-wide, I want to say challenge, but this just makes it so much more confusing. In this together group starting on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Is that cheesy? Is that a dad joke? Where's Eric? Anyway, you guys, his dad jokes have gotten so bad. It just escalates with each day and passing day, and we're in hashtag quarantine. Anyway, Britt saw on my stories, he played with the vegetables. Anyway, and it's called In This Together, and it's just a check-in for self-care. That is for any coaches that you're bringing into Happy and Fit teammates, and for all of you. The team challenge is different. The team challenge, you can get points for checking in This Together, but the team challenge is with you're on a team and you're getting points. In This Together is just posting your selfie that you did your workout. Okay, that's what you're inviting to if you want to, until that starts on May 4th. I made a video, an invite video. Lauren was telling me that she was using it already, and I have the pricing in there on how someone can get started. And then also the sneak peek, you guys are blowing it up in there. We are going to have a flash sale happening in there in May. Basically, what I was thinking are people are about to go crazy. Like this quarantine, if it's extended, how can we serve people in this season? We can serve them with our positive posts that are real. People follow real people, not perfect people, right? So if you're struggling, share that with the solution, but then you're also part of a thriving, happy community that lives fit. If this is true that there's going to be extensions, people's gyms are going to be shut down for what, like 2 months of their time. And so you're offering ways people can move their body more, fuel their body more. And I think more importantly than ever is connect to a community. Am I right? Like, so thankful for all of you. So that flash sale will happen in our sneak peek group, and I'll put up posts. And basically what it is, if you want to participate, you have one job, and it's this. They're going to be weighted different. So if someone gets a challenge pack, you might gift them a $10 Amazon card, like whatever it is. So anyone that you decide to be in that flash sale, you're responsible for, if they get energized, maybe it's a $5 gift card. You're in charge of doing that. And then I'm going to do bigger prizes with those who are committing to either a challenge pack, energize, collagen, all those things. So anyway, I'm really excited. And that sneak peek is to help other people and to also help you with that team challenge to get more points with your team. And I think it's just going to be a really great next few weeks for you if you've been dabbling in and out of maybe wanting to do this and help other people to feel confident with doing it. This is fun. We get to help people. I need to be done because my good friend Lauren Lundberg is here. Lauren Lundberg joined this journey with me 5 years ago, and she was the first person that was posting on social media that had joined the team. And I was like, you're posting on social media. Like, let's talk. And we just hit it off from there. I got on calls with her and I had no idea what I was talking about. And I was just excited. She was excited and she was excited that I was excited. And we just kind of built this together. And so Happy and Fit happened after her and I got connected on this journey, and it's been really fun to watch her. If you didn't know, she's married to Caleb, and she has a daughter, Kenzie, and an angel baby, Blake. And she has shared her journey of transformation with PIO. She's shared her journey with teaching. She's shared her journey with infertility. She's shared her journey with pregnancy and her birth story and all the things, and how she has been a special needs mom to the most beautiful girl with the longest hair. And have you guys seen Kenzie like pony? Like, I'm just like hair goals. Anyway, she just has shared like she's been in isolation a lot longer than us with this quarantine, with having Kenzie. And so she's just shared that before all this happened. And she's just been honest in her post, and she's just been convicted. And she just got killer results with the Ultimate Reset, which, by the way, we're doing a team Ultimate Reset. Lauren, like, you freaking killed it. And you were like, I'm so excited for you to do this. And I'm like, girl, I'm excited to do this after seeing your before and after with it. You're incredible. You're a light. You're an amazing mentor, an amazing leader. You love your team so much. You've given so much to Happy and Fit. You've given so much to my life as a friend, and I'm just so proud to link arms with you in life, in friendship, in business, and all the things. Thank you so much for being on and sharing. You're always on, but sharing and presenting. So I'm going to mute myself.
Of course. First of all, I love how many new faces I see on here, because I just shared on here like 3 months ago, and I'm like, I don't recognize hardly anyone on here, and that's amazing. Secondly, Julianne, those words mean so much to me because I have been struggling, you guys. Like Julianne said, I have been in isolation mode for such a long time. My daughter was born at 23 weeks. And so for the last 3 years, we've had to be very careful in the winter. And at the end of every winter, I get so excited for spring. And then we had one 70-degree day last week, and now it's back in the 30s, and I feel like Jack Nicholson right now from The Shining. Like, anyways, I am going to just like take it way back to the beginning, just because I know there are so many of you who haven't heard my story. And I think a lot of times, one, I forget what it was like to be a new coach. And two, maybe there's someone out there who has a similar story as me, and maybe you can use my story to go help them. So anyways, I have always loved athletics. I was a 3-seasoned athlete all through high school. And when I got into college, I found that I was struggling. Like, I no longer had a team. I no longer had a coach that was telling me what my practice was after school, what workouts I was supposed to do. I no longer had a team that was depending on me to show up for life, and to show up for them. And so I kind of lost myself. And I honestly, looking back, realized I kind of created a lot of bad habits, because all of a sudden the friends that I had made through athletics, I no longer had that anymore. And I went to a community college at first, so I wasn't in dorm rooms. I had roommates that I wasn't very close with. They all lived a different lifestyle than I was used to. And so I struggled connecting with people. And so as a result, freshman in college, what did I do? I wanted liquid courage. So I started drinking more often to try to create more friendships and just like take the pressure off. With that came the usual freshman 15, 20, whatever it was. But I lost my groove in exercise. I just kind of lost myself. And so I would dabble in exercise here and there. I was always that person that never really did it by myself. I always had like a virtual accountability buddy. accountability buddy is what I always called it. But like if I had a friend who actually introduced me to Turbo Jam, which was the very first workout program I ever did by Beachbody. And I did that my freshman year. I think I started around like spring break, and I went home for that first full week, and she had just gotten Turbo Jam, and we did Turbo all week. I loved it. And I actually like convinced my parents to please, please, please trade me this what is it called? The speakers, anyway, surround sound. That's what it was. I had one surround sound at our senior prom. And I begged my mom, please, you can take this surround sound if you just buy me Turbo Jam. I just need to feel better. So again, continue to dabble with that. Anyways, fast forward a few years. I got married. I had my foot in the door at the school district that I wanted to work at. I worked as a teacher's associate first, getting paid like $10 an hour after going to college for 4.5 years to get my teaching degree. And I was still struggling, still dabbling, still yo-yo dieting, still didn't find my groove. And then I saw that Chalene Johnson had just come out with a new workout program called PiYo. I had no interest in Pilates or yoga, but I loved Chalene. And so we had just bought our first house. Like literally, I was making $10 an hour, had just been hired for my teaching position, but wasn't going to get that teaching paycheck until September 1st. It was like June or July. Thank goodness Caleb loves me so much, because I was like, I promise you that if I buy this 60-day program, I will not miss a day. I wanted it so badly. I wanted change so badly. And so we spent the $70. I did not miss a day, and my body changed. And I was someone in growing up thought that cardio was the be all end all. That was the only way to get results, was to kill yourself in the gym. You had to punish yourself for what you ate. Like that was the mindset that I grew up with. And so I had amazing results with PiYo. What I found was that I kept telling everyone about it. My sister bought it. I had like 10 friends who went and bought it, just had to go try it because I was like, this is so different. It felt like stretching. It got my foot in the door. It got me used to that routine. And so what had happened was I started teaching. That routine started to slow. First year teacher, you're busy, you're stressed, you're in the classroom all the time, you're overworked, you're overtrained, you're stressed out to the max. And I was still doing it, just not consistently. And so my friend Lisa, who I went to college with, she was always like one of those people who just was physically fit. Like, I don't know if you guys know like the difference, if you can see what I'm thinking, but she was someone who always had definition. She'd wear a tank top and you're just like, girl, what? Like, you look amazing. But Lisa had shared her transformation from doing a 21-day program. And I was like, oh, Lisa must have fallen off at some point. And so she shared her results and she got back on track. And I was kind of just watching her for a while. And I was like, I think that's a 21-day fix. I think that's a Beachbody program. Coaching wasn't really something that was in my news feed a lot at that time. This was almost 6 years ago. And sure enough, eventually she reached out to me and she's like, hey, I am actually doing a 5-day clean eating challenge with some people. I was wondering if you'd want to do it with us. It'll be really fun. I'm going to put you in a Facebook group if you want in, and we're just going to support each other and try to eat healthy. And I knew that that was the thing that was missing for me. So funnily enough, it happened during my first week of conferences. I don't know if I have any teachers here. I totally ate all of the pasta. I ate all of the things. Like, it was a hot mess. But Lisa supported me through all of it. And I just kept asking her questions like, okay, you're helping people with this. Like, I know these programs. Like, I've heard of Insanity. Like, I was a Beachbody girl. Like, I loved Beachbody. And had no idea about the coaching opportunity. And so once I knew about it and found out that, like, oh my gosh, you can become a Beachbody coach, I didn't even know that was a thing. I decided to become a coach because I was so tired of yo-yoing. I was so tired of not having my nutrition in line. And I announced it to the world because athlete's mindset, I didn't want people to see me fail. I didn't want to have to admit to anyone that I fell off again, and I was ready to be me. And so that was me drawing a line in the sand and saying, I'm in this. I want to be healthy. I want to feel my best. So I had no idea like what would happen from coaching. I had no idea that it would lead to my passion in life, and that I would want to be a leader of a team, or that I would want to grow a business. Like, my mindset was me. It all started with me. But what was cool is all of this happened. Me growing this business happened because my passion, I passed that from me to other people by sharing my journey. And other people saw that, like, man, this girl, she yo-yoed all of those years. She found herself again. So, like, don't underestimate you sharing your story, because people are watching. Maybe they don't know if they can do it yet, but our job is to show them that they can by being proof that it's possible. So from there, like Julianne said, I've had so many ups and downs in the last 5 years. I struggled with infertility. I shared all of it because I wanted to show people what was possible, and I wanted to let people know they weren't alone. Okay. I went through, my husband and I went through IVF. We had to do 2 rounds. The first round was not successful. It was so heartbreaking. We had so many months that just like went by not knowing if we would ever become parents. And that was like heartbreaking to me. I had my life planned out in the way that it would look, and it wasn't happening. With our second round of IVF, we got pregnant with twins. Everything was perfect. Everything was perfectly fine until I went into labor at 23 weeks, 0 days, which is the exact amount that they will actually take you into the hospital. Actually, the night that I went into labor, they were like, we have to wait until midnight until we can transfer you to the Mercy Hospital. So we were in the NICU for 139 days. Our son, Blake, passed away 10 days after I gave birth. And at that point, I had been a teacher for about 1.5 years. And it didn't take me long to realize that my passion was more so with Beachbody than it was teaching. I felt a lot of pressure from the school district that I was working with, and I constantly felt like I wasn't enough. I wasn't doing enough. I didn't have the same passion that others teachers had. And I actually was called out by my principal for caring more about Beachbody than I cared about teaching, which was not a fun conversation. But I knew when we were in the NICU that I couldn't go back to teaching. One, because my heart wasn't in it. When I was at work, I was constantly wanting to go home and work on Beachbody and help people. So I'm still teaching, but just in a different way, which is so cool. I get to control that now. But I also had doctors telling me, if Kenzie goes home, like those were the real conversations we were having. If she goes home, she won't be able to be in daycare for her first 2 years because her immune system is too low. Like it's too fragile. We have to be so careful. So it's so crazy because the NICU kind of became our second home. We became so close with the nurses that were there. And I was someone who just was like, okay, at the time I was making probably $800 to $1,000 a month. So supplemental, that was amazing. That didn't make up for my teaching salary, which was terrifying. And But I decided I had to do it. I had to make this work. I had to start inviting to the team. I had to just have more conversations and just be relentless and just have so much belief that this changed my life, and I knew it could change so many other people's lives. And so I made that decision that I was going to go all in. And I'm going to tell you how everything turned out. Obviously, I'm home now, but I need you guys to know the hurdles that it took to get there, because something that you see right now in my journey and Julianne's journey and anyone else who's farther out in front of you, you might just see the shiny things. You might just see the things that look really good on paper or look really good in an intro. But there were definitely hurdles. There were definitely stumbles. I got my knees dirty. Like, it was not always pretty. Okay, so here were some hard things. I already mentioned that I got criticism from my boss. I had coach cancellations pop up in my email the first week we were in the NICU, like 2 or 3. Imagine, I'm going through all of this. I'm deciding, like, I have to go all in with this, and I'm getting coach cancellation emails from my downline. Not fun. When I announced that I was resigning from my teaching position, I had teammates reach out to me telling me they were going to take a step back from coaching. I had family members that would change the subject whenever I brought up Beachbody. I had people that would ask me for info and would end up signing up with someone else. I have done get started right calls with new coaches and they quit the next day. I've missed goals. I've had plenty of ghosted messages. But through all of that, I reminded myself that I didn't come this far to only get this far. So those things happen, but you know what? Those things are worth it, because you know what? If you just keep going, if you find a way to just keep your belief, even though maybe the people around you don't believe in you as much as you believe in it, or believe in this opportunity as much as you believe, you have to remember why you started. You have to remind yourself where you're going. So this is what's happened as a result. 1, I found my voice. I was always someone who just would do what others told me to do. I was not someone who would speak my mind or share my opinion. I fell in love with taking care of myself. I worked really hard despite losing coaches. I found my passion. I worked really hard despite losing coaches and passed my teaching income. It took months after I resigned, but I did it. My family started seeing how hard that I actually work. They rave about my work ethic, my mindset, and they support me in my message, in sharing my message. I've made some of my new best friends. I choose my hours and I don't have to miss anything that Kenzie goes through. I've paid off about $15,000 of debt in the last 14 months, over $5,000 since January. So just think about that. Those hard times, something good is going to come out of it if you just decide to keep going. During a pandemic, exactly. Okay, so this is what I want you to decide to do right now. So, you know what's even cooler about this concept that, first of all, I lost sleep about this, because I don't know if you guys have this, but anytime I'm about to present on a call, or if I have an idea, my thoughts come to me right when I'm like, my head hits the pillow and I'm like, this is ridiculous. But I'm happy because it came with a really fun message. And what makes me even more excited is that I was telling my husband, Caleb, about it, who has supported me from the get-go, but has also from the get-go been a little hesitant that maybe after all this might be a pyramid scheme, but we'll just be careful. Okay. Like, that was completely Caleb. Like, I'll let you do it. That's fine. we're just going to be really cautious about this. So, but what was cool is I told him about this idea that I had about this metaphor, this analogy, and he was like, oh my gosh, yeah, and like present it this way, like this is so good. And it was really fun to see like that transformation in him too, because he believes in this so much now. Not only in like the change in my mindset that he's seen. He just rocked the ultimate reset too, by the way. He lost 15 pounds, and he's not into the workout programs. He's much more of like get outside, go on his bike kind of guy, which is completely fine. But I want to invite you to be an athlete in your business. What that means to me, I take myself back to being an athlete in high school. I didn't miss practices. I don't know anyone on the team who missed practices. We showed up for practice, and we showed up for each other. We showed up for ourselves because we wanted to get better together. Okay? So go to practice. You go to the open gyms. You practice repetition. You practice the same drills over and over and over again. Even if it feels like it's pointless. You keep practicing, because with time you're going to get better, and you might find a new strategy to make it more efficient, or a new way to pass the ball. Okay, I'm going with basketball here. I don't know why I'm thinking basketball, because I played basketball my freshman year and didn't continue after that. So probably not the best example for me to be rolling with here. But my favorite part about being an athlete was being there for the team. Like I said before, I showed up harder because I knew other people were depending on me. What's really cool about that is that there's different types of teammates. You have the teammates who are cheering from the sidelines, who maybe aren't on the court. Those people are just as important as the people who are on the court. Okay? You have teammates who have natural talent, but might not utilize it. They might not care about it as much as someone else. That's okay. They're still here. They're still a teammate. We still have to care for them. You might have someone on the team who's brand new to the game, but they work really hard, and they're willing to work really hard to get better. You might have someone on the team who's really aggressive. If there's a free ball and there's a ball rolling on the court, on the floor, that person's going to go get it. They don't care if they scrape their knees. They don't care if they get a tooth knocked out. They're going to go get that ball, and you can depend on them to go do that. Okay? You might have fans out in the crowd that come to every game. You might have fans that come when it's a home game. You might have people who cheer from afar. They support you, they support the team and what they do, but they don't come to the game because maybe it's not their thing. That's okay too. Okay? So I want to ask you right now, what player in the team do you want to be? Do you want to be the player who's cheering from the sidelines? Do you want to be the player or the fan that comes to a couple of games, but maybe not all of them? Do you want to be the player that has talent, but maybe isn't using all of it? Do you want to be the player that works really hard, even though you might be brand new at it? Do you want to be the player who's on the ground fighting for the ball because you're a badass? Okay. So now I want to turn this into an invite. Okay. Pretend that somebody is going to, it could be an athletic event. It could be even a game, like a card game. Pretend that somebody's never played it before. Would you rather know all of the rules, know every single detail, every single play of the game, or would you rather learn as you go? Because it's really easy, it's really hard to understand sometimes and really easy to overwhelm. So if I was going to invite someone to come play basketball and they'd never played before, I'd be like, hey, let's go play. Here's the basic concept. You dribble the ball to the basket, you shoot it. We'll figure out the rest. Learn as you go. We'll figure the rest out. So with that, keep your invites to the team super simple. And right now, all of our invites are going towards the same thing in this together for the team. So right now, we don't have to overcomplicate what the team is, what the team is about, what products, what tools we use. But why not try it for 30 days? Come see what it's about. Come experience this with me because it changed my life. I want you to come experience this with me because I think it might do the same for you. We can figure out what program you're going to do later. That's fine. You're going to have a ton to choose from. I promise you that. Like, trust me on this. But come do this with me for 30 days. Like, that's so much less scary than going through how much it is, exactly what their choices are, which are good. They're fine things to do. But going into this together, why not keep it super simple? Get them in for 30 days. If it's not for them, that's fine. Completely okay. So, last question before we open this up for questions, comments, or anything. So, we're in quarantine right now, right? Life can be kind of hard. It's really hard when you isolate yourself. I actually read in my PD yesterday that isolating yourself and not having any social interaction at all is worse for your health than smoking. So use that for your invites. People need connection right now. They need action. But more than that, I know that it's really hard to be disciplined right now and to show up and to get your stuff done and to invite people when we feel like we've lost something, and we have, and it's okay to mourn that. But where do you imagine, I don't know when, but imagine all of a sudden they say quarantine is over. What do you want your life to look like? What choices do you want to be able to make when this is over? Are you willing to work hard for that between now and then? Even though it's really hard right now, even though most of us aren't getting a break, even though some of us are giving up a paycheck, work hard for it now. Who knows where you can be? For me, I know exactly what we're working towards. We're paying off debt. Our goal, I don't know when quarantine is going to end, but right now we are paying off debt like crazy because my thought process is chances are this coronavirus is probably going to come back in the fall and we might have to do the same thing again. I want to be able to do some house projects if this happens again and not sit at home bored. So right now, all of my money, all of my efforts, all of my motivation is going to paying off debt so that if this happens again, I can do some fun things while I'm at home and treat myself to that. So that's what I have for you.
Lauren,
Yes.
like what the actual heck just even happened? I like don't even know what to, that was freaking awesome. I'm so proud. I've watched you evolve over the last 5+ years, and this is hands down one of my most favorite calls, not just that you've done, but ever. And you know how many calls I watch and I've been on and I've been a part of, but like, whoa, there's a lot of things. First of all, like, can we all just like clap and just like wave our hands? Cause like that was just like people were freaking out in the comments. Brilliantly presented and such conviction. Your story is one that you were never afraid to tell. And if you were afraid to tell, you would text me. And you always trusted when I was like, Lauren, share that. Lauren, it'll make you feel better when you put it out there. Like you did it, and you just didn't even overcomplicate it. You didn't stay indecisive. You made a decision. You shared every part of it. And people have been with you on this journey, either watching from all like links away or right in your corner. It didn't matter. You shared it for you, and you've built this rapport. You've built this relationship because no one was guessing. And a lot of times coaches are posting a fitness thing, which is fine, but they're not telling the story. Like, why are you doing this? What does it do for you? Tell us about things you've overcome. Tell us about the obstacles you're facing. You can share you can share your wounds. Don't share the scars. Like, share parts of it. Like, Lauren didn't share all the scars. She just shared parts of her wounds. And I just think it's amazing. And before we take any kind of Q&A, These are a few things when you really hit my heart. First of all, and all the things you went through to get here, I'm like, yeah. For any coach that's been on, Kim, did you check off all those ones too? Of like, family never asked about it. Yep, they thought I was doing this cute little thing. My brother said he unfriended me or like unfollowed me because I was posting so much. They never asked about it. I'm in a group thread of friends that never ask me about Beachbody, but they ask about everybody else's thing. I have had friends make fun of me for this. And I think you just realize like who you want to surround yourself with and who you want to give your energy. And you've got to have bigger belief. That was so good. Like the coaches quitting, they're all in and then they're not. It can be so hard, but you have to remove your emotions from it. And you just have to keep going, which is what you did. But when you shared all that, and I was like, all of you, like, if you can see where she is now, aren't you willing to do it? It's like now you won't be surprised when you have a coach cancellation go through. You're not even surprised because Lauren, Julianne, and whoever said, yep, you're on your way. You're not surprised. It doesn't hurt as much. It's not as big of a blow. It's not something that you have to quit over. You're just like, oh, that's part of the process. Someone's saying they're going to do something and then they don't, or they question the integrity, or you have someone saying it's a pyramid scheme, which it's not. And you know that when you actually read on it, but you don't have to defend it. It doesn't matter because you know what it is. And that's all that matters. But now that you hear that, are you like, no surprises? All right, I'm not any different. When I throw out a social media post, like Lauren could have added 100 other things, like a social media post that someone messaged her about, said not to post that, or someone, I remember her principal calling her into the office, and I was like, oh my gosh, all the things. But that to the good stuff, like all of it is good to me because it's part of the process. But then you found your voice. When you said that, I was like, who gets to do that? Did you know 60% of people are purposeless? 60% of people are purposeless, but you found your voice. What a gift that is amongst the 60% of people that don't have one and they don't feel like it matters. We know it does, but you found your voice. You fell in love with taking care of yourself. How many of you are on that journey right now? We have so many new teammates that they say, I just want to love myself again. I don't even know who I am anymore. And when I look in the mirror, I hate what I see. And I'm like, oh, I'm so glad you're here because that's going to change. She fell in love with self-care. That's so powerful. Working hard despite losing coaches. Like, she was proud of that. So what I took from that is weigh it. What does your yes life look like? What does your best life look like? And weigh it against the coaches quitting. Weigh it against the family members not asking you. Weigh it against coach cancellations. Weigh it against someone telling you this is a pyramid scheme. I don't know. Weigh it against that, and which one sounds better? Are you willing to go through the coach cancellations, the coaches who don't want this like you do, the people questioning or not even asking about it, the family members who don't care, who thinks this is a cute little thing that you're doing? I've told you this, that in the mail, we would keep getting newspaper clippings of jobs from Eric's parents up until a little bit ago. You know what I mean? I was willing to wait. Like, I was like, I'm willing to experience that if I can continue. And you said I've met some of my best friends online. You guys, no joke. Lauren has been on quarantine for years. How would she make a community outside of the internet? She wouldn't. And she just said that being lonely is worse than smoking. Can you see how like important that is? This community, that it existed for her? But guess what? It's just as important to you. The only way to take full advantage of that is to become a part of it. To not just consume, but to create, to lean in, to build friendships. It only works when you work. Are you willing to go for it at the cost of these little things that in 5 years won't matter? You guys, the cancellations, If it's meant to be, they'll come back, and they do, and it's great, and I love it. But sometimes they don't, but you keep on going. I was willing to do that. Are you willing to put a social media post out there and someone messaging you and saying, I was willing to do that? Some of you are saying you're afraid to expand your network. You're afraid to invite a certain person because you don't want to be judged. I was willing to be judged because my dreams were bigger than their no, because it wouldn't matter even a week from then if that happened, and it has. Lauren, that was so good. What questions do you have for Lauren? Lauren, you are just seriously so awesome. I'm so proud of you. It is just so cool to watch you, my friend. What questions do you have for Lauren? She's a ninja. She works in pockets. She's navigated a lot of seasons. And in some seasons, you guys, the bare bones are enough. Wouldn't you agree, Lauren? Like, do what you can in the seasons, but like try to continue to gain momentum. Because Lauren, there's been times where it's like there was like a stall, and then you're like, I need to do something about it. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, and it's happened a few times. Mostly just this last time was back in October. I just felt a slow, and I actually just almost experienced it again. I was having anxiety creep in, and I realized it was because I wasn't getting my stuff done. Like that was causing everything else around me to lose control. I was getting frustrated so easily, losing sleep, just always feeling like I was playing catch up. And so for me, I took massive action, which turned into incredible results 3 months later. Like you don't see it right away, and you definitely need to remember that as you're pushing. But I started just sending invites every single day, and that's what I focused on. I would send out invites, and then the next day I would check my inbox. I'd clear my inbox, respond to everyone. I'd track my conversations, and I'd send out more invites. Like every single day. And I did that for 4 solid months. And then it kind of started to creep away because life can fool you into thinking that you deserve a break. And all of a sudden you think you've taken like 1 or 2 days, and you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, there went a month. That's not good for a business. Like I think about that with the basketball thing or sports. I would never have missed one practice. I never would have done that. And so why do we tell ourselves it's okay to take a week off from inviting someone to join us? That is our job. So whether you have to decide, it's whatever was closest to you. I loved being an athlete, and so viewing it that way works really well for me. Maybe for you, you love your job. Would you miss a day of work just because you didn't feel like it? Would you not contact a client through work because you didn't feel like it? Like I have to check myself on this too, and I've been doing this for 5 years. So
It's probably because we're our own boss and no one's hovering over. But I think what I loved when you're like, come join this experience with me. Like that makes it so easy. And that's how you believe your invite, your reach out is like, I'm having so much fun. I'm loving this. This is going to do so much for you, versus like being so mechanical about it. Andy asked, what is your current PD or favorite PD?
Oh gosh, I have so many favorites. I just finished Everything is Figure Outable today. That one was so good. That was the quote that I had yesterday, which is how perfect for this time about the smoking. But I just started reading Eat That Frog. I've had it on my bookshelf for like 4 years. I've never read it. So I know the concept of it. I've just never read it. Just about that thing that causes the most productivity in your day, doing that thing first. And it's more than likely the thing you want to do the least.
It helps reduce procrastination, like the whole philosophy around that book. So good. Yeah, I read that years ago. I should probably reread that. What other questions do you have for Lauren? Lauren, what is your advice for new teammates on the team?
I think biggest piece of advice is just to show up in your journey and share it as you. Um, I think it's really easy if you are following a lot of other coaches to think I should just do what they're doing, share the message they're sharing. But ask yourself, why did you start? And share that message. Talk to the person who is just like you and wants to start for the same reason.
I loved when you said you have to remember why you started. Why did you want to do this? Like, what was that for you? And then where are you going? Like, it is so important to know where you're going. And then that's when you can weigh against all the obstacles that happen and be like, oh, this is just part of the process because I'm willing to go through this obstacle and I'm not surprised by it because my crew has told me about it, that this is normal. It still stings, but I'm willing to do it and I'm willing to let it be a fire in my belly in order to get there. That's so good. I love that advice.
And I think it's so easy to just look back on where you were. And a huge chunk of my coaching journey, that's what I've shared. It wasn't until this last year with my debt-free journey that I'm like, no, I'm going to show people this same journey. It's the same thing as trying to get results from your workout programs. It's the same thing, but it's showing people the possibility with coaching and building the business.
Yeah. And I think taking the mystery out of it, where it's like, what are we talking? Like, I love that other people teach me how to do this and I don't have to guess. Like, how many of you would love to build a business and have to guess the whole time? Not me. Like, I love that people have laid out an easy foundation on what to follow. It's, I should say, simple. It's easy, the foundation of it, but what is hard about it is the belief in taking the action and overcoming that doubt and fear, because that doubt and fear grows bigger and bigger and bigger the more or the less action you take. But when you start to take action, these fears that you had don't scare you. No's, rejections, ghosting, people questioning, it doesn't even faze me because I'm just like, what? You can't even tell. Like, this is so good, right?
For sure.
Lauren, we are so grateful for you and thank you so much for spending the preparation of that was so good and thank you.